China's new First Lady is unlike any other the country has seen before.
Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his wife were among the guests on Sunday at the first of two special concerts in Pyongyang.
In the shadows of power, the wives of influential politicians face extremely strict, suffocating rules. From China's political halls to the realms governed by Sharia law, these women must display modesty and restraint, their lives a reflection of their husbands' roles. Once a celebrated folk singer, the First Lady of China now conforms to a role filled with strict expectations, her vibrant past hidden. But what horror tales lie behind those perfect smiles and public appearances? Let's examine the secretive lives of these women, where every restriction and oppressive rule tells a story of strong power. Women and wives trapped in restrictive rules. Anyone who enters the circle of these powerful figures must adhere to high standards of behavior. This demand for proper conduct extends beyond the aides and advisors directly working with these politicians. It also applies to their spouses, who face a myriad of rules and expectations. These rules aren't just about supporting their partner's political career, they also involve upholding a certain image that befits their status. This could be out of respect for the official position they hold, or simply to maintain harmony within their personal lives. For the spouses of these politicians, every public appearance and private action could be scrutinized. They must navigate a complex web of social expectations and legal requirements, all while supporting their spouses' careers and maintaining their own identities. Whether attending state functions, participating in public events, or managing personal relationships, these spouses are constantly under pressure to exemplify perfect decorum and respectability. The President of China, a man under constant scrutiny due to his significant role, has expectations set not only for himself, but also for his wife. They have been married since 1987, but she is far from being just an ordinary partner. Before marrying, she was well known as an award-winning contemporary folk singer. They met in 1986 while he was serving as the deputy mayor of an eastern port city. A year after their first meeting, they got married. However, her life as an active, globe-trotting singer is behind her, and she has transitioned into her role as the spouse of a globally prominent leader. As the wife of the President of China, her life is markedly different now. Gone are the days when she could freely pursue her music career. Instead, she must adhere to the behavioral expectations that come with her husband's high-profile position. This includes participating in official events, maintaining a certain public image, and supporting her husband's political agenda. Her personal identity has been transformed by her marriage, and she now operates within the confines of the strict protocols that govern the life of a president's spouse. This change in her life raises questions about the balance between personal achievements and the responsibilities of being married to a world leader. How does she navigate her role with her past achievements? What freedoms has she had to give up, and what new roles has she had to embrace? These are the kinds of questions we'll consider as we delve deeper into the lives of women like her, who find themselves married to some of the most powerful men in the world. As we move forward, we'll examine more such intriguing stories of women who play a silent yet powerful role behind the scenes. In China, taking on the role of the president's wife is a highly demanding task. The country's stringent policies on childbirth and deeply ingrained gender roles significantly restrict women's opportunities in leadership positions. Many leading men in China, including the president, dismiss the concept of gender equality as mere feminist ideology. Thus, as the president's wife, Ping finds herself bound to adhere strictly to her role. This involves her acting largely as a ceremonial figure at public events, where her presence is required to complement her husband. She is expected to maintain a polished appearance, smile, and play the part of the obedient wife, while her husband remains the focal point. This reality starkly contrasts with modern feminist principles advocating for women's equality and independence. If you think merely serving as a figurehead sounds difficult, consider the situation of Ri. Ri is married to Kim Jong-un, the absolute leader and dictatorial ruler of North Korea. North Korea is a secretive state infamous for its human rights violations. It is among the poorest nations globally, where ordinary citizens lack basic human rights. Yet the ruling elite, including Ri, indulge in opulence. Details about Ri are scarce. Even her birth year is uncertain, with official records suggesting she was born between 1985 and 1989. Her ascent within North Korea's elite circles is attributed to her family's status within the political hierarchy. Sources like the BBC reported that Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father, arranged for Ri to marry his son following his stroke in 2008. The marriage took place in 2009, but Ri was not publicly acknowledged as Kim's wife until 3 years later in 2012. This delay in public acknowledgement reflects the secretive and controlled nature of North Korean leadership, where political interests tightly regulate personal aspects of life. After seeing how China's First Lady navigates her role, let's look at Ri, the secretive wife of North Korea's leader. The restrained existence of Kim's partner. This glimpse into Ri's life offers a stark view of what it's like to be the wife of Kim Jong-un, the supreme leader of North Korea. Known for its severe laws, particularly those that affect women, North Korea imposes strict regulations even on the lives of its most prominent figures, including the First Lady. Ri is subjected to extraordinary restrictions. For example, she's not permitted to appear in public without her husband by her side. Furthermore, she is required to sever all connections with her past life before she became First Lady. This transformation is so complete that North Korean authorities have attempted to erase her previous career as a singer and entertainer. Allegedly, they have confiscated bootleg CDs of her performances to replace her public persona with that of a scholar holding a PhD in materials sciences. Yet despite her purported academic credentials, she is forbidden from discussing any scientific topics in public settings. The control over Ri extends to even more personal aspects of her life, such as her hairstyle and the way she stands when she is seen in public with her husband. The restrictions are incredibly stringent to the point where she is not even allowed to travel abroad without explicit permission from her husband. It appears that Ri has virtually no personal agency or say in her own life, echoing the way Kim Jong-un tightly controls North Korea. Just like her subjects, she is caught in a rigid power structure that allows her very little freedom. Similarly, stringent and elaborate protocols govern the lives of other women linked to powerful men worldwide. For instance, Camilla, the Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, also operates within a highly structured and scrutinized environment. Shows like The Crown have given viewers a peek into the rigorous standards and protocols that define the British royal family's public and private behavior. The complexities and the intense scrutiny they face are something that most ordinary people would find overwhelming, if not completely unmanageable. This raises questions about the personal freedoms and the hidden personal struggles of those who live under such intensely watchful eyes. Long before he ascended to the throne as the King of England, King Charles was already a highly recognized figure around the world. His popularity surged to even greater heights following the sad passing of Queen Elizabeth in 2022. Although King Charles is not a political figure in the traditional sense, his role as the monarch places him at the forefront of the United Kingdom's state affairs. This position is not just ceremonial, it comes with a heavy weight of expectations and traditions that he and his queen consort, Camilla, must meticulously follow. Life as the queen consort is particularly taxing due to the myriad of strict protocols that dictate even the smallest details of her daily life. For example, Camilla must always pack a black dress when traveling to ensure she is prepared for any sudden funeral she might need to attend. Moreover, she is required to wear only neutral-colored underwear and is never permitted to appear in public without full-length tights, maintaining a conservative and dignified appearance at all times. The rules governing Camilla's behavior extend far beyond her wardrobe. In public, she must avoid using nicknames when addressing other members of the royal family, maintaining a formal tone at all times. She must also manage her body language carefully, keeping her chin parallel to the ground to project confidence without seeming too assertive or timid. Camilla's public interactions are also heavily restricted. She's not allowed to own a social media account, take selfies with fans, or sign autographs. Her diet at public functions is also controlled. She may only start eating after her husband has begun his meal and must finish when he does, regardless of her own hunger. These regulations can be challenging and are subject to change without much notice, adding an element of unpredictability to her role. The constant scrutiny and evolving rules can be overwhelming, leaving Camilla to navigate a complex landscape of royal duties and personal restrictions. As these protocols continue to adapt, one can only wonder what new rules the royal family might introduce, making Camilla's role even more demanding. This dynamic underscores the intricate balance of tradition and modernity within the British monarchy and the personal sacrifices involved in upholding these age-old customs. Sarah bint Mashur Al Saud is linked to one of the wealthiest individuals on the planet. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, often referred to as MBS. His personal fortune is estimated at around $25 billion, making him a standout even among the world's richest. However, it's crucial to understand that MBS's wealth isn't just about the dollar amount. He leads the House of Saud, the ruling family of Saudi Arabia, which holds a combined net worth of approximately $1.4 trillion. Marrying into this family isn't just about joining a wealthy household, but stepping into a lineage that sits at the core of Saudi power and tradition. Being part of the Saudi royal family involves more than lavish lifestyles and social prestige. It brings enormous pressure to uphold family and national traditions. This royal family isn't like any other. It's deeply intertwined with the governance of Saudi Arabia and adheres strictly to Islamic laws and practices. Every action, every public appearance, and every decision is laden with the weight of historical and religious significance. Members of the royal family, including Sarah, must navigate a complex array of social rules and expectations that dictate everything from how they appear in public to how they practice their faith and conduct themselves in private. Moreover, the visibility of the Saudi royal family means that their lives are under constant scrutiny, both from within the country and from the global community. The scrutiny impacts how they manage their relationships, how they present themselves, and how they engage with the world. It's a life of golden cages and silk chains, where personal freedoms are often sacrificed for royal duties and the expectations of a nation steeped in deep religious and cultural traditions. Now, let's compare Ri's hidden life in North Korea with Empress Masako of Japan, who also follows strict rules. The controlled existence of a Saudi royale. For Sarah bint Mashur Al Saud, being the wife of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, means living under a vast array of strict rules. Despite her marriage to one of the world's most powerful figures, surprisingly little is publicly known about her personal life. We know that she is MBS's first half-cousin, born to Murbi Abdulaziz Allah. They were married in April of 2008, and together they have 5 children. However, living as a woman in Saudi Arabia comes with its own unique set of challenges, and for Sarah, these challenges are intensified by her position within the royal family. Sarah is subject to severe restrictions on her public behavior. For example, she is not permitted to speak in public unless her husband addresses her first. This is reflective of broader societal norms within Saudi Arabia, where the adherence to strict Islamic principles is expected, particularly for women. In Sarah's case, these expectations are even more pronounced because her compliance or non-compliance can reflect directly on the Crown Prince. It is widely understood that whatever MBS decides is absolute and not open to question, reinforcing a dynamic where Sarah's own views must align with or defer to those of her husband. The control over Sarah extends even to her limited public appearances. On the rare occasions when she is interviewed, she is closely monitored by senior members of the royal family, ensuring that nothing she says or does could potentially embarrass the crown prince or the royal family at large. Any behavior or even suspected intentions that might tarnish the family's image are rigorously policed and are off-limits for discussion. These constraints highlight the complex reality of her life. Externally, it is filled with the luxuries and privileges that come with being part of one of the wealthiest families in the world, but internally, it is constrained by a lack of personal freedom and autonomy. This paradox makes her situation particularly difficult. She lives amidst opulence and has access to what many might dream of, yet her ability to make personal choices or even express herself freely is severely limited. This creates a stark contrast between her public persona and her private realities, encapsulating the challenges of adhering to both the cultural expectations of a conservative society and the demands of a prominent public figure. Navigating this intricate landscape of high expectations and strict limitations illustrates not just Sarah's reality, but the reality of many women in similar positions across Saudi Arabia. The situation raises broader questions about the balance between duty and personal freedom, and the personal sacrifices made by those who live their lives in the shadow of immense power and responsibility. It's a life of golden cages, where every privilege is counterbalanced by a corresponding restriction, making Sarah bint Mashur Al Saud's role as the wife of the crown prince one of the most complex and scrutinized existences imaginable. Alina Kabaeva, in the context of world leaders, is connected to Vladimir Putin, arguably one of the most feared and infamous figures globally. While leaders like the president of China and Kim Jong-un have their own intimidating reputations, Vladimir Putin stands out for his iron grip on Russian politics. He dominated the government for decades, and despite a brief nominal step down from 2008 to 2012, he merely switched roles, placing a close ally as president while he took on the role of prime minister. After those 4 years, they swapped back, reinstating Putin as president in a move that showcased his unyielding control over Russian power dynamics. Putin's personal life is equally complex and controlled. Officially divorced since 2014 from his first wife, whom he married in 1983, Putin is now reportedly involved with Alina Kabaeva, a former rhythmic gymnast turned media personality who has since edged into the political scene. Rumors of their relationship began around 2008, and it has been suggested that they share 3 children, though this has never been confirmed by mainstream Russian media, likely due to fears of repercussions from the Kremlin. Alina Kabaeva's life, closely intertwined with Putin, is shrouded in secrecy and intense security measures. It's reported that she lives almost invisibly, managing domestic life away from the public eye and accompanied by heavy security whenever she travels. Public appearances with Putin are exceedingly rare, ostensibly to protect the secrecy of their relationship and to shield them from any potential public or media backlash that could weaken Putin's political standing. This enforced secrecy is crucial for Putin, who strives to maintain a fortress-like barrier around his personal affairs to prevent any potential vulnerabilities that his adversaries could exploit. For Kabaeva, the situation presents significant personal challenges. Despite her prominence and her close connection to one of the world's most powerful men, she must navigate a life where her public identity and personal desires are heavily restricted. The need to conceal their relationship and the constant surveillance she undergoes must impose a heavy emotional toll. Imagine the complexity of her daily life, living under constant scrutiny and unable to openly share her life with the person she is reportedly close to. This dynamic adds a layer of personal tragedy to her public persona, reflecting the often hidden human aspects of international political life. Moving from Japan's quiet royalty, we now focus on Camilla, the Queen Consort of the United Kingdom, and her life in the spotlight. Sheikha's opulent influence in a restrictive regime. Sheikha Musa bint Nair is an influential figure whose husband, Sheikh Ahmad bin Khalifa Al Thani, once ruled Qatar with an iron grip and is now on the verge of sparking major international conflict. Sheikha, not just a secondary figure, has carved out a space for herself with her distinctive fashion sense and refined style, earning her a spot among the world's wealthiest women. As one of Sheikh Ahmad's 3 wives, she holds a unique position as the mother of the current Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, which adds to her prominence within the royal family. Over the decades, Sheikha Moussa Bent Nair has stood out as a paragon of style and luxury. Her lifestyle is opulent, highlighted by her tasteful choice in clothing, high-end vehicles, and exquisite jewelry that captures attention whenever she makes a public appearance. But Sheikha's identity extends beyond her appearance. She is intellectually accomplished, having earned a bachelor's degree in sociology from Qatar University in 1986. Her education has informed her role in public life, where she actively engages in various social issues. Sheikha has devoted significant effort to supporting educational initiatives and tackling youth unemployment, among other social causes. Her commitment to societal improvement has endeared her to many who see her as a benevolent figure, not merely spending her wealth, but also working to better her community. However, this positive image contrasts sharply with the darker reality of her husband's governance. Under his rule and continuing into the current administration, Qatar has been criticized for its human rights record, particularly regarding women's and workers' rights. Reports and investigations have highlighted significant concerns, suggesting that despite Sheikha's efforts, she also serves as a palatable facade for one of the world's more oppressive regimes. This juxtaposition of Sheikha's public persona against the backdrop of Qatar's political climate raises complex questions about the role she plays. Is she a genuine advocate for change, or is her philanthropy part of a broader strategy to soften the image of the Qatari leadership? Her situation illustrates the complicated interplay of power, privilege, and responsibility in a nation where royalty and politics are deeply intertwined. As Sheikha continues to navigate her roles as a wife, mother, and public figure, her story remains a compelling narrative of contrast between personal influence and the harsh realities of governance. Sheikha Moussa Bent Nair has often voiced her support for addressing various social issues in Los Angeles, yet she remains notably silent on the more severe abuses occurring under Qatar's regime. This silence isn't accidental, it's strategic and enforced. The topics she can discuss publicly are strictly limited, with her speeches undergoing rigorous scrutiny and approval by male leaders within the regime. Consequently, she is explicitly prohibited from saying anything that might portray the current rulers in a negative light or bring attention to the less favorable aspects of their governance. Similar to her counterparts in other conservative regimes, such as in Saudi Arabia, Sheikha's life is highly regulated. Her movements and activities are constantly monitored not only by her husband, but also by the current Emir of Qatar, her son. Despite having some level of freedom as the mother of the Emir, her overall autonomy is minimal, more symbolic than substantive. The luxurious lifestyle and high fashion she is seen with might seem compensatory, but these material comforts can't truly replace the freedom to speak openly or move freely. When one considers the full scope of her situation, the trade-offs become apparent. The glamorous appearances mask a reality of restricted liberty, making her life seem less enviable. Switching focus to the United States, if you thought we'd discuss world leaders without mentioning our own, think again. Being the First Lady of the United States is an intensely challenging role. It's a lesser-known fact that the First Lady is not just a spouse. She becomes a central figure in the administration. While the president handles various national crises, the First Lady is expected to be the stable, nurturing presence in the White House, often referred to as the Mother of America. This role requires her to manage not only her own initiatives, but also to maintain a calm demeanor amid the nation's challenges, embodying the grace and resilience expected of her position. While the United States is often celebrated as a symbol of freedom and liberty, It's interesting to note that even the First Lady faces a set of strict guidelines she must adhere to. Many might assume that the First Family, particularly the First Lady, would have the freedom to make the White House feel like their own home through redecoration. However, the reality is quite different. Indeed, while the First Lady has the liberty to alter the appearance of the personal living quarters within the executive mansion, significant restrictions apply to other parts of the White House. Certain areas within this iconic building, such as the Lincoln bedroom, are considered sacred due to their historical significance and thus are strictly off-limits for any major changes. These rooms hold a historical prestige that transcends personal preference, preserved to maintain their integrity and historical authenticity. Should the First Lady wish to make changes to these protected spaces, she can't do so at her discretion. She must first seek and obtain explicit approval from the Committee for the Preservation of the White House, a body that ensures the historical sections of the residence are meticulously maintained. This process is not just a formality, but a necessary step to ensure that any modifications do not compromise the historical value of these national treasures. Therefore, the First Lady's role involves navigating these complex rules that govern even minor aspects of life within the White House. It's a role that balances personal influence with a deep respect for the traditions and historical importance of the presidential residence. This blend of personal and public responsibilities showcases the unique challenges faced by the First Lady, who must respect the past while also making the White House a comfortable home for her family. Having explored the lives of women linked to power globally, let's see how these themes play out in the White House. Presidential privileges, the hidden hardships of being First Lady. There's a peculiar rule about the White House that might surprise you. The windows in the iconic residence are never supposed to be opened. Former First Lady Michelle Obama shared an interesting story about how her daughter, Sasha, once opened a White House window, prompting immediate calls from the concerned Secret Service. This incident highlights the strict security measures that govern even the smallest details of daily life in the White House. Moreover, the life of a First Lady changes dramatically once her spouse is sworn into office. Everyday activities, such as casual shopping trips, become highly orchestrated events, if they occur at all. Another notable restriction involves their attire at official events. First Ladies are expected to wear their outfits only once before donating them. These outfits, often created and gifted by renowned designers and fashion houses, are not to be worn again or kept as personal belongings. So whenever you see someone like Jill Biden wearing a stunning designer dress at a public event, take a good look. It's destined to be her last time wearing it, and it will soon be donated. In addition to these rules about clothing, there are stringent guidelines about receiving gifts. First Ladies are generally prohibited from accepting personal gifts, especially from foreign dignitaries and governments. Any such gifts must be handed over to the National Archives and Records Administration. Historically, the rules were so strict that the First Family needed explicit approval from Congress to accept any gifts from foreign entities. Today, while gifts from non-foreign sources are permitted, they are still carefully scrutinized to ensure they don't pose any security risks. Despite the numerous and intricate rules surrounding her role, Jill Biden has been performing admirably as the First Lady of the United States. Her prior experience as Second Lady, when her husband served as Vice President, undoubtedly provided her with valuable insights and prepared her for the demands and spotlight of her current role. Jill Biden has not only adapted well, but has also paved her own path in a distinctive way. In 2021, she made headlines globally by choosing to continue her career in teaching, thus becoming the first presidential spouse in history to maintain a professional career while in office. This decision marked her as a pioneer, challenging traditional expectations and rules typically held by First Ladies. Jill Biden's choice to balance her professional life with her duties as First Lady has added a new dimension to what it means to hold that position. She has managed to blend her responsibilities at the White House with her passion for education, maintaining her teaching schedule and thereby setting a precedent for future first ladies. Her ability to juggle these responsibilities speaks volumes about her commitment to both her personal career and her public service role, providing a powerful example of modern womanhood. Switching focus to another part of the world, Empress Masako of Japan represents a different but equally compelling narrative within a royal context. When thinking of royal families, Japan may not immediately come to mind for many, yet the Japanese imperial family is one of the oldest and most revered royal lines globally. Their lineage dating back to at least the 6th century AD and purportedly to 660 BC with the legendary Emperor Jimmu is steeped in history and myth. The current emperor, Naruhito, ascended the throne in 2019 following his father's abdication, continuing a millennia-old tradition. Like King Charles in the UK, Emperor Naruhito does not engage in the day-to-day politics of Japan, but instead plays a significant ceremonial role. His duties are deeply traditional and symbolic, involving the formalization of the Prime Minister's appointment, hosting visiting dignitaries, and participating in various state functions. These roles, while ceremonial, are crucial in upholding the cultural heritage and diplomatic protocol of Japan. The Emperor and Empress's presence at these events underscores the continuity and cultural identity of the Japanese monarchy, linking the past with the present in a society that values both its history and its modern achievements. Empress Masako herself has navigated her role with grace under the unique pressures that come with being a part of one of the world's most historic royal families. Educated at Harvard and Oxford, she has brought her intelligence and sensitivity to her duties, contributing to the monarchy's connection with the public. Her path mirrors that of many modern royal figures who balance traditional obligations with personal and societal changes, illustrating the evolving roles that royal family members play in contemporary society. There are several strict rules that members of the Japanese imperial family, especially the Empress, must adhere to. For example, the Empress is not permitted to hold any type of job. She can only engage with non-profit organizations, and even then, she must obtain explicit permission from her husband. Additionally, like other members of the royal family, she is strictly prohibited from voting or running for public office. This prohibition extends to any form of government involvement, much like the British royal family, who also avoid politics primarily to maintain political neutrality. However, for the Japanese royal family, this is not just tradition, but is explicitly required by law. Traditionally, the Empress is also expected to walk behind her husband during family events, a rule intended to show deference and respect. While modern times have seen this practice diminish somewhat, it is not unusual to see the Empress continuing to observe this protocol. Furthermore, similar to the First Lady of the United States, the Empress faces strict regulations regarding gifts. She cannot accept or give any gifts or property without prior approval from Japan's legislature, as mandated by the Japanese Constitution. This rule underscores the stringent regulations that govern the lives of those within the imperial family. These regulations illustrate the highly structured and controlled environment in which the Empress operates, highlighting the unique and sometimes restrictive roles that come with being part of a royal family. It's fascinating to consider how these rules shape the daily lives and responsibilities of royal figures, offering a glimpse into the complexities of balancing tradition with personal freedom. Is the silence of these political wives a choice or a forced reality? What are they really hiding behind those composed faces? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights.